Ha! It's me, Lance Nielsen, co-founder of the Outcasts Creative. I'm here on my Todd because I don't think either of the people are available to assist me with the live stream tonight. It's going to be a short one because I've had an interesting day. I was at Salute today, which is a games convention that I attend yearly. It is the annual games convention of the South London Warlords. As you can tell, I am a bit of a gamer. I play tabletop games, I play miniature games, I play Euro games, I play science fiction games, I play historical games, I play historical miniature games, and I'm pretty much up for any kind of tabletop game. Not so much into role-playing. Did do D&D back in the day. Not saying I wouldn't ever play it again, but mainly that kind of stuff. And Salute is a really huge games convention that's run at Excel once a year, usually the third weekend in April. And I was actually part of the London Wargamers Guild. This is my t-shirt. Hang on, wait. It's this side. There we are. London Wargamers Guild. I'm a proud member of the London Wargamers Guild. I played their participation game at Salute for the first time last year. And I thought, actually, you know, now that I've going through some fairly big changes in my life, I need to do more things that I enjoy. I focused on doing a lot of things that I didn't particularly enjoy the last 5 years, like trying to make films that didn't happen, that kind of thing, which is not very enjoyable when that doesn't happen. And one of the things that really went by the wayside was my gaming hobby. So I've been at Salute today, and I helped run and also create, along with a huge number of other people, a game called Cold Doings in London. But the main guy behind the game was Daniel, who laser printed all the scenery for this game that's kind of set on London Bridge. It's very cool. And you had sort of gangs of marauders, gangs of players yomping around. I'm going to show you, look, I know this isn't about stealing home. We'll get to that. But I'm just going to show you what this game was about. I'm just going to show you quickly. I haven't even had time to like load these up yet. So, okay, so this is the game on my phone. So here you can see we're all, there's a big model of what London Bridge used to look like back in the 1650, before the Great Fire of London. And Daniel, who is tactfully not in this photograph, sadly, that's a bit annoying. Anyway, he created most of this scenery. We're getting a horrible reflection on here now because this is all kind of dying. There we go, that's better. He created these buildings that are like lining the river with all the snow and everything. 3D laser cut printing, created that. Anyway, it's a big deal. It's the big games convention. It's the biggest in the UK. And the London Wargamers Guild won Best Participation Game, which is the award that any participation game wants to win. I've tried to win it many times myself. But we also won, on the 50th anniversary of Salute, Best in Show, ladies and gentlemen. Best in Show. So, like the movie with the dogs, but without the dogs, we run Best in Show. Sean is asking, is it tabletop games exclusively? So Salute is, yeah, it's mainly tabletop. People don't sit down and play role-playing games there. I mean, they might do, people that go along. There's about 5,000-6,000 people that go. It's huge hall filled with loads of different games. I took a lot more photos. I'm probably going to do a little video about it. I took a few short videos, so I might do a little video about it. But War Games Illustrated, who have a channel on YouTube, are also going to do a video about Salute. And I'm also going to get War Games Illustrated to come on the channel, because again, it's kind of creative hobby, you know. Gaming is, if you're into painting the miniatures and you're into sculpting the scenery, you should have seen what Dan did with this game. I mean, it was nothing short of amazing. That is a creative art. It absolutely is a creative art. So we will support all things creative. But I am here to talk about a film that I saw in 1988, the year that I kept a diary every day. There it is. When I went to the States for the first time, I was a wee teenager. And I have a novel coming out about this soon called 1988. It'll be available on Amazon. You can buy it in America, etc., etc. I'll do a big thing about it on the channel when it comes out. But In 1988, I saw a film that would resonate with me quite strongly when I saw it the first time. When I watched it more recently, because I had lost my father since, then the film really hit me. And Starfleet Battle, Sean, I used to play that, mate. I used to play that back in the day. I have invented a better Star Trek game. I won't say better, easier to play. If you ever want to come and play, let me know. I'm always looking for players in London. Look at Keith. He's here. Thank you, Keith, popping in. Do a post about the stream, Keith. Spread the love. Spread the word. Right, so Stealing Home. Guess what? I've got the vinyl soundtrack. What a surprise. I don't just pick films that I've got the vinyl soundtrack of, but I do have the vinyl soundtrack of Stealing Home. We're going to talk about this film fairly briefly. I don't have my co-host today, George, Movie Guy 24/7, and Cobra Catania, who's about to have a baby. Were not available. I also have a friend who's in a little bit of distress. So I don't want to stay on too long because I want to give him a call, and that's going to be a long conversation. So, but I didn't want to not do this stream because I had to cancel last Saturday, and I had to cancel last Wednesday as well. So there's a lot going on right now. We've got rehearsals for the Outcasts, a lot going on. So this is the vinyl soundtrack for Stealing Home. The music is done by David Foster. He does the instrumental score for the film. If the name sounds familiar, it's because he did that very well-known track for the movie St. Elmo's Fire, a film which is known for its music, not for its script narrative. It's a pretty average film with some good performances and some big names, but not a great script. But Stealing Home is a whole other matter. Now, Stealing Home was made in 1988 by a duo directing team. And back then, only people like the Coen brothers were directing together. But also doing their time in the trenches were Stephen Natman and William Porter, who directed Stealing Home together. And that was pretty unheard of back in 1988. Oh, Sean, I like these comments. I'm going to stick with me on this stream, Sean, because I'm going to talk about this in some depth about what this film meant to me. I used to watch Stealing Home a lot when it first ran on cable TV, maybe way too often. Think about those old relationships and marvel how they change over the years. Bet you cried at least once, because I know I did. I'm going to tell you where in a minute. So Stealing Home, let's talk about it. It's a movie about an old guy called Billy who's coming back to his hometown. He's kind of in his 40s, late 30s, 40s. And he comes home and he's coming home because his best friend has died. And his best friend has, in her will, he's left him her ashes and said that he is the only guy who would know what to do with them. Okay. Now, this is the trailer for the movie right here. I'm going to put the trailer on here. I won't put sound on because, hang on, maybe I'll put on a little bit of sound. Right, that music.
Kitty was always getting me into trouble.
That's Billy, that's David Foster. So this is the younger Billy Wyatt, his name was. And his kind of babysitter is a best friend of the family, Jodie Foster's character. And she is kind of assigned to look after him. And as he gets older, he falls in love with her. His best friend, Alan Appleby, who's played by the younger version of him, is played by this chap, Silverman, Jonathan Silverman, who went on to have a pretty good acting career. I can tell you all these things without looking up any of this stuff in advance on IMDb because my love for this film grows very deep. Now, the film was not a tremendous success when it was released in 1988. Look who is playing the older Alan Appleby. That, my friends, is Harold Ramis of Ghostbusters, and you could not pick a better actor to play an older version of Silverman because the two of them do really look alike. So that's Mark Harmon plays the older version of Billy Wyatt. Now, the trailer doesn't tell you a lot, but it's really about a guy who's lost and he's trying to find himself. And when I went to the States in 1988, even though I was just a teenager, I didn't know at the time, but I was kind of dealing with, I guess, what you would call PTSD now. I had lost a friend in very tragic circumstances who died very suddenly. And I was in a relationship, quite a serious relationship for a young teenager. That all ended. There were some big, like, seismic changes in my life. And I went out to the States to teach drama at summer camp, which is something I absolutely loved. I've always loved working with kids. I was really good at it from like day one. And I went to upstate New York to a camp called Camp Northwood. And during my time in Camp Northwood, I kept a diary every single day. And this, my friends who are watching, and there's 4 of you watching, thank you so much for tuning in. This is that diary, guys. Okay. So, you know, yeah, you can come onto YouTube and watch reviews of theme parks and stuff. But like, this is a proper personal story. If you're familiar with the TV show Dawson's Creek, well, let me tell you, this diary, which I kept every single day, take a look at the weenie text here. Dawson's Creek ain't got nothing on this. And not only did I keep a record of every day of that year, but I also kept a complete record of all the movies I saw. There's a list of the ones I saw in America alone that year. I don't know if you can see those. Young Guns there. Look, Red Heat, Midnight Run, great film. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, great film. Die Hard, even greater film. Frantic, not such a great film. The Rescue, The Blob, the remake of The Blob. And so what I'm doing in this novel, and this is not a thing to plug my novel, I want to talk about Stealing Home, but what I'm doing in the novel is I'm reviewing all the movies I saw that year. And one of the things I want to do is I want to talk about, in the lead up to the publication of that book, I want to talk about the films that have impacted me the most. There were 2 films that I saw that emotionally proper gut punched me. And the first one was Stealing Home. The second one was Field of Dreams. And what's interesting about both of those movies is they both have a baseball narrative. And I'm an English, half Danish guy, and we don't have baseball in the UK. And baseball is quite thematic to the emotional core of these films. But for me, what was really at the core of the emotional punch of the movies was about relationships, and particularly the relationship between father and son, and the loss of that relationship, and how that impacts you, and how you spend a lot of your life trying to recapture the moments with your parents that were lost or that you never had. And I know some of you watching are going to know exactly what I mean when I say that. And that is why I think over the years, Stealing Home and Field of Dreams have become very popular movies. So Stealing Home is a film of 2 halves. It has 2 timelines. One timeline is set in the past. One timeline is set in the present. The present timeline is the older Mark Harmon and Jodie Foster, who don't really share much screen time together, the 2 of them, because they're in separate narratives. Jodie Foster has never looked more beautiful than she does in Stealing Home. Very natural girl next door. She totally imbues the character she's playing, Katie, this kind of carefree, slightly hippie-ish, love of life, wants to try everything in life. And I mean, she really is, she makes acting look effortless in this film. If you want to see one of her finest performances, honestly, check out this movie. And I know that a lot of people have not seen this film. Now, the younger Mark Harmon is played by William McNamara. He was a completely unknown actor at the time that Stealing Home came out. He's brilliant in this. Brilliant. He played a killer in a movie with Richard Gere. Somebody in chat will remind me what movie that was. This is a scene. This is a great scene. I've shown this scene at my movie quiz before, and it's a great scene where he's gone to actually talk to Blair. This is the character played by Yvette Krosky. We're going to check out and see what else she's done in a second. To chat him up on behalf of his best friend Alan Appleby, and he ends up sleeping with her, kind of completely by accident, if that can happen. And I guess this is a film that can show that can happen. Yvette Krosky's only in a couple of scenes. So look, this is the... Oh, she plays Robin. Sorry, not Blair. This is the only movie that she's done. I find that very interesting. She was really good in this film. Wouldn't it have been great if I could have tracked her down to try and get her on this stream? If I can track her down, you know, I'm gonna do another stream. So hold on a second. I just have to take this phone call. I'm gonna mute myself. Sorry, that'd be the aforementioned situation I have with a friend of mine who's a little distressed. So this is obviously a film that means quite a lot to Sean. He said, I'm the youngest of 5 and was fascinated by some of my siblings' friends. My earliest crushes were friends of my sisters. Mate, tell me about it. And Sean says, hi, Keith, because he's also in the chat. That's interesting that Yvette Krosky's not done anything else. So that's a Japanese poster for Sydney. I've never seen that. Interesting. Never seen that. So I mean, it's really about these, you know, I think we've all met someone in our life at some point or other who we've completely, utterly been in love with, who we think is the right person for us. And for what ever reason, you can't be with that person. It's usually because they don't feel the same way about you as you feel about them. But for whatever reason, it's not going to work out. But that person still remains very special to you. Even if you have to push them away from you, they remain very special to you. They remain very dear to you. If you feel like you're in love with them, you know, that probably doesn't stop. And that's the relationship between Billy Wyatt and Jodie Foster's character in Stealing Home. Mark Harmon plays Billy Wyatt. Jodie Foster plays Katie. That is the nature of their relationship. I can't believe this is the only publicity still of a black and white full lobby print that's made its way onto IMDb. Bit of a shame. So why do I like this film so much? Okay, so it was I was in Arizona, and I was sort of trying to give my friend space to concentrate on his studies. So as soon as new films out, I went straight to the cinema. And I'd just blitz them all in one day. You know, I'd stay in the multiplex the whole day. I'd kind of hang around the mall. I'd go and have a burger or whatever, fries or whatever. And then I'd come back and I'd watch more movies. I mean, I was a total movie nut. It's very Quentin Tarantino. That's why we have the same chin, you see. So, and this is one of those films where, you know, in a day of like 4 movies, this film really stood out. It really punched me in the gut. I'm going to get into some spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the film, you probably want to put my annoying voice on pause right now. And I'm going to get into some spoilers. And if you haven't seen the film and you had a relationship with your dad, or you've ever been in love with someone who you can't quite obtain, or maybe you have a fleeting romance with someone that you wanted it to be more, but it didn't happen, it didn't go further, you're going to relate to this movie, okay? It's also a fun film. It's got a lot of really good moments of comedy. All right, I'm going to get into some spoilers now. I've lost a viewer because of that, but that's okay. You can come back later. So one of the things that's really interesting about this film is the cast. So I'm going to talk about Blair Brown. Blair Brown plays Ginny Wyatt, Billy Wyatt's mother. Now, you guys are going to know her more recently from Orange is the New Black, where she plays the television celebrity chef who gets imprisoned because of tax evasion. Blair Brown's only got a few scenes in this, and this was probably the first thing I ever saw her in, but she is superb with capital S in Stealing Home. And I have to say, she steals every scene she's in effortlessly. Again, makes acting look easy. That's a professional actress at work. That's a diligent actress at work. Now, this film had a very, very minuscule budget. I think everybody was on scale, and it was one of those ones where everybody just wanted to do it. Now, let's have a look at who else is in here. Richard Jenkins, who's since been up for an Oscar as Best Actor. Richard Jenkins has a scene at the end of the film where he gives the ashes back to Mark Harmon and says, no, you need to decide what to do with these. But think about some Patrick's or whatever the suggestion is he has. I have followed Richard Jenkins' career ever since this movie because I loved him. I always remembered him in it. Of course, more recently, he's been in things like the Jeffrey Dahmer story with Molly Ringwald there on the left, another favorite actress of mine. Humans, which my friend Danny Webb was in, who's, by the way, there's an interview with Danny Webb on the channel if you want to check that out. Richard Jenkins is a phenomenal actor. I mean, it's funny because his career didn't really take off until quite late, but I like that about him. But if you go back and you watch his earlier work, he's got 2-3 scenes in Stealing Home. You can tell immediately this is a first-class actor who is at the top of his game. So that's another reason to watch Stealing Home, is because of the cast. And even the people in the small roles, they're all big names now. They're all big name actors now. They're at the top of their game, you know. So the casting director on this did a really good job. You got John Shear in there playing Sam Wyatt, Billy's father. Another great actor, still around, still working. Lots of you will recognize him. He's played a lot of romantic leading man, especially in kind of 90s movies. Darth Plato, good to see you, man. Talking about Stealing Home. Not going to be a long stream. I'm going to wrap it up pretty quickly. But like I said earlier, I have got the soundtrack to this movie on vinyl. I saw it in 1988. I came back from America, and straight away I wanted the soundtrack. And so there was a couple of reasons I wanted the soundtrack. One of them was because of David Foster's score. And the other one was because of this really cheesy song, which is called, where is it? And Then She Danced, performed by Marilyn Matlin and David Foster. Then She Danced. It's a cheesy song, but it's one of those songs that you will listen to yourself when you've got a broken heart and you'll weep. And, you know, we all do that. We all put on some Phil Collins from time to time. Just going to say, don't pretend like you don't, all right? Because I know you do. If you're over the age of 40, you've definitely put on a Phil Collins song when you've been feeling down at some stage. More than once in my case, but I'm 50, so I'm allowed like 5 Phil Collins passes. Anyway, so, by the way, props to the guy. He's a very talented man. It's one of those soundtracks that's a bit weird because it's like soundtracks in the 80s tended to fall into two categories. They tended to be the score of the film, or they tended to be the songs of the film. Okay, this is one of those rare examples where they had a fair bit of the score. So you've got Katie's theme here, Stealing Home reprise, again instrumental, Stealing Home main theme, again instrumental, Home Movies, again instrumental. That's a fucking heartbreaking scene. And then you've got a mixture of songs, one made especially for the film, 3 or 4 songs from the era. And I bought this not because I wanted Jerry Lewis's Great Balls of Fire, but because I wanted the original songs from the film. I wanted the original score. If the soundtrack had just been David Foster's score, I would have bought it because I wanted to go back to those places. When I put the vinyl soundtrack on, I wanted to go back to those scenes in the movie, and I wanted to relive the emotional impact and journey that those scenes had given me in the cinema again. And I did a number of times. So it's really a film about dealing with grief and loss and kind of when you've lost your way, how do you get back on track? And I've got to be honest, to my small viewing diehard fans, and I appreciate those of you that are here. I've been going through that quite a bit lately. Big changes in my life. The YouTube channel is actually something that's really important to me. It's something I look forward to doing, and I find it's very good for my confidence, and also gives me a focus. Not that my life is not busy. My life is very busy. And Stealing Home is really about what happened to a guy when he lost his focus, about when he lost his way. He lost his kind of the most important person in his life, who was his father. I did say I was going to get into spoilers, so we're getting into spoilers. He kind of didn't get the girl. Kind of got the girl, but he kind of didn't get the girl. Anyone who's seen the film will know what I mean, because the girl runs off with Doobie. Remember Doobie? And so then, like I said, it's a film of two halves. You've got one part set in the past with the younger actors, one part set in the present where the older guy is trying to figure out what to do. What do I do with these ashes? Why is she giving me these ashes? And it's all about him trying to figure out what the most appropriate thing to do with those ashes is, not just for him, but for her, for both of them, so that he can move on in a better direction than he's going right now. And then he remembers, she said to him, "You're a ball player. That's what you are." So he goes back to playing baseball. So unlike Field of Dreams, where baseball is very integral to the plot, I think baseball in Stealing Home is more, it's not metaphorical as such. It is just a backstory to one of the main characters that happens to be relevant to his life choices. I want to just give the directors a shout out. So Steve Natman and William Porter, I think I checked before, and I'm pretty sure that they didn't do a lot of other stuff. So my voice just went really high pitched. Went really high pitched then. I have no idea why. Yeah, I mean, he did a couple of things, but he only had 2 directing credits. Okay, he had Buzzkill, 2012. Never heard of that. And I feel like I want to check it out now, though. And Stealing Home. Look, if I had directed only one film in my life, and one of those films was Stealing Home, I got to tell you, I'd be pretty proud of that. So Steve Campman, sorry, not Natman, Steve Campman, wherever you may be, if you see this stream, your film really meant something to me. And man, if I ever see you in London, I'm going to buy you a drink. So William Porter, same thing applies. Oh, shit, he's died. Damn, do you know the last time I checked, he was still alive? Dude, that sucks. Oh, I'm actually quite upset about that. Okay, I did not know that. That's kind of hit me a bit by surprise. So again, all right, well, let's do what we were going to do. Give him some props. So, I mean, he did 1 credit as director. Now, they must have had a special relationship, these 2 guys, because no director wanted to give up a single directing credit in the 1980s. I'll tell you that right now. Unless you were the Coen brothers and you went back and you had a tightness, that putting ego aside, that did not exist in the film industry back in the 80s. However, these guys were not from Hollywood. They had a personal story they wanted to tell. They raised the money themselves outside of the Hollywood system. They got the script into the hands of some big actors, and that was how it happened. So William Porter sadly passed away in December 2019. I'm very sorry to read that. What can I say? If the fact that I'm talking about a film that he made in 1988, now in 2023, that, ladies and gentlemen, and all my friends who are not too sure, and everyone in between, that is the power of cinema right there. I'm talking about it now. It was made in 88. And I'm talking about it now, and I'm trying to say to other generations who are younger than me, you should watch this movie, because not everybody's going to like it. but I think a lot of people will like it. You know how I like to look at some of the sort of unknown cast? I want to just shout out a couple of other people. So I was surprised to see that the actor who played young Billy Wyatt, Thatcher Goodwin, I did check this out earlier because I actually thought I'd try and get him on the show. I was very surprised to see he only did one other acting role, one episode of the series Ed, not Mr. Ed, Ed. This is what he looks like now. Those people who remember the kid, pretty dashing, handsome chap, I would say. I mean, I don't know why he didn't do more acting. He's got the right face. Yeah, I mean, he was great. So Thatcher, you did a really good job. Very convincing as the kid. I actually really like the scenes with the kid. They are some of my favorite. That part of the timeline is my favorite section of the film. That and the golf course scene. If you've seen the movie and you've seen the golf course scene, you know what I'm talking about. You slept with my prom date. You slept with my prom date. Why don't you just go and have more sex with her, Bill? Go and have more sex with her. That I've shown that scene, I think at 2 movie quizzes now, and I think I might have to show it again at my next one because I'm pretty sure my movie quiz attendees have all changed, so I don't think anyone will have seen it. Jane Brucker as Cheryl, vaguely remember her in the movie. Yeah, I've seen her in a few things. Good actress, good character actress, still working today. Give her a job, please. So there's not loads more to say about Stealing Home, and props to Jonathan Silverman and William McNamara, who play the kind of younger versions of the main characters. Harold Ramis, as we know, has sadly passed away. He's so good in this film. Natural, again, just natural. This is after Ghostbusters, don't forget. Harold Ramis did not need to do this film. Jodie Foster did not need to do this film. This was an independent film. It was a small paycheck for everyone involved. That should tell you something, okay, about this movie. So I think it just remains for me to say, because I'm going to wrap this up now, that if you haven't seen Stealing Home, you should. Here's the IMDb if you want to go and check out the trailer. The trailer does not do the film justice. I think the trailer is partially responsible for why the film wasn't, well received. I don't think it did big box office, okay? But it is a film worth watching. You should go and check it out if you haven't. And listen, if you're involved in the film, if you worked on the production, I would love to do a longer, more detailed stream about this movie. I'd love to do a watch party about this movie. I would love to do a watch party with the surviving director of this movie. I'd like to talk about the backstory. I'd like to talk about why he wrote about it, what the scenes meant to him. I'd like to talk about all those things. But that's the only kind of stuff you can get into with someone who worked on the film. But anyway, I really liked it. I think it's a first-class movie. I give it 8 out of 10 on IMDb. And I'm probably going to go and watch it either today or tomorrow. I didn't watch it in preparation for the stream because I've seen it so many times. I didn't need to. And that's a testament of a good movie, really. So guys, look, thanks for tuning in. A few of you that came and went, I really appreciate it. A couple of my diehards sticking with me. We've got a weekly wrap-up coming up on Wednesday. Lots to talk about. End of Mando, end of Picard. I know loads of people have talked about it already, and that's fine. It's quite funny that some streams are timed just as they finish. And I was tempted to do an instant Picard wrap-up, but we are rehearsing. The Outcasts are rehearsing. We are currently in rehearsals for a show about the post office scandal. We are back doing that again. I want to thank you to all my new subscribers. Really appreciate it. Like I said, this channel means a lot to me, and I'm going to be putting a lot more work and effort into it over the coming months. False Accounts, probably my last play, is at the OSO or OSO Theatre in Barnes. It's just for 6 shows only. We might extend, but I suspect not. 31st of May until the 4th of June. There's a couple of matinees in there. You can, if you go on to the Outcast Facebook page, there's information about the production there. It is about the biggest miscarriage of justice in British history, or the United Kingdom's history. The Horizon Post Office scandal and the cover-up followed. Some comments there. Freeze frame that if you like. Press the pause button. Some comments there from some of the people who were directly affected by the scandal, and I really appreciate their support. We're going to be interviewing them. There are some interviews coming up with the postmasters on the channel who were impacted by the scandal. They are coming up. I think those are going to take place probably on Friday nights, some of them on Saturdays, some of them on Sunday afternoons. All depends on the availability of the guests. We also have the director of the photography of the Goonies coming on the channel. We also have the first assistant director of Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3 coming on the channel as well. So I've got two amazing guests coming up. Director of photography of the Goonies, first AD of all three Back to the Future films, two more industry interviews. If you like working behind the camera, or you're looking to work behind the camera, or you just want to hear about the onset tales of making the Back to the Future trilogy and the Goonies, you're going to want to check out those streams. Can't tell you the times for those at the moment because I'm going to work them around the availability of my guests. Sean has just said, if you ever want to do a watch party of scenes from a mall, that is with Bette Midler and Woody Allen. Scenes from a mall. I might do a stream about that. That's an interesting movie, actually. That's quite an odd one of Woody Allen's stable. And did he direct it? I think he did. I think he did direct it. And he's carrying a surfboard with him, like in the entire movie. He's carrying a surfboard. Yep, Sean's saying, yeah, that's it. When the party's over. I am going to do a stream about And the Band Played On, by the way, which the tagline for that, the party's over. We're going to talk about that one. One of the biggest travesties of our time. All right. Okay. Listen, guys, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. It's been a long day. I've been at a games convention all day, so I do want to keep this pretty tight. I also have some friends who need my attention, and as you will know, in the Lancy Code of Friendship, I'm always there for my friends. So I'm going to sign off and love you and leave you now. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you all again real soon. And don't forget to always tell the people that you care about that you love them. Don't put it off until tomorrow. Do it today.